The devastation statewide is far worse than first thought. In just one of the flooded counties, at least 500 homes were damaged or destroyed. In the small town of Clendenin, another 100 homes, likely more, were wiped out.
This side of the house is destroyed. The full-size basement of the house is all destroyed. My son, everything he owned, he has nothing, not a pair of shoes.
Search teams expect to complete door-to-door checks tonight, hoping all are accounted for. And across storm-battered West Virginia, communities are coming together. Neighbors bringing extra clothes and food for those who are left with nothing. Diana Sanders says she still has something. This place and decades of memories.
I feel him here.
A group of suicide bombers has killed 5 people and wounded at least 15 others in a northeastern Lebanese village near the border with Syria. Security sources had earlier put the death toll at 6. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Security sources said they believe the Islamic State group was responsible. The village is one of several border posts separating Lebanon and Syria. Lebanon has been repeatedly jolted by militant attacks linked to the 5-year war in neighboring Syria.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has criticized NATO for interference in the internal affairs of other countries. Putin said the military alliance provokes regional conflicts and triggers color revolutions. He added that NATO uses terrorists, fundamentalists, far-right nationalists, and even neo-fascists as henchmen to achieve its goals. The Russian president accused NATO of seeking to upset the balance of power. Putin pledged that Russia will not succumb to what he called NATO's militaristic craze. He said Russia can see the consequences of NATO's policies near its borders. The alliance has stepped up its military buildup near Russia's western borders since it suspended all ties with Moscow in April 2014. This after Crimea rejoined Russia following a referendum in the Black Sea Peninsula.
For 5 days, extreme heat and high winds have fueled the most destructive fire Kern County has ever seen.
Oh my God!
A couple evacuating the fire shot this video as they drove through a wall of smoke and flames. The fire has left behind a trail of destruction.
Is this your roof here? Yes.
This had been Tyra Fuller's home for 16 years.
When I got to my grandmother's rocking chair is when I lost it. I was the first baby she rocked in it.
Most residents living in the hardest hit areas are still being kept away for their own safety. This frustrated homeowner was tackled and arrested after crossing a police roadblock. Jim Terry's house was spared, but he's watching out for his neighbors, patrolling at night to keep looters away.
They're people, they're humans, and I love people. And I believe that's why all these houses and stuff up here have to be taken care of.
More than 2,000 people are still fighting this fire. The damage is estimated at $7.6 million so far. Charlie, officials are working around the clock to try and clear this mess up, but clearly the damage is already done by the Erskine fire, and there is still no word yet on when people will return home.
These people sprinted for their lives, captured on security video just before one of the blasts tore through Istanbul's main airport. And one of the attackers is captured in these shaky images. After being shot down, he writhes on the ground before also blowing himself up. The attack was coordinated and bloody. 3 separate locations hit by 3 suicide bombers who apparently arrived by taxi. But it's just the latest in a spate of deadly bombings here in Turkey.
We came downstairs.
Thomas Kemper of Atlanta, Georgia, was waiting for a connecting flight.
The blast was first. That really woke me up from this short nap. And then the shooting. You heard really gunfires. And then the people started running immediately. And you just ran. You just ran with them.
But it's something, of course.
Richard Kalnins of Connecticut told us he and his wife spent 3 hours trapped inside the airport.
There's really no place to go. There's no place to hide. And hearing about explosions, hearing about gunfire, but not being able to get out is a frightening feeling. It's a feeling of terror.
There's an extra layer of security at this airport before you even get into the building. But it doesn't seem to have stopped 2 of the attackers from getting inside the terminal and then blowing themselves up. One of them, just over there.
That blast was in the arrivals area. Another was at the entrance nearby. And the third was upstairs in departures. Turkish media claims these images show one of the attackers inside the airport and another dressed in a thick quilted jacket in the middle of summer, which would have aroused suspicion. Amazingly, this morning the airport was running as normal and workers began fixing the damaged building. Less easy to repair will be the damage to Turkey's economy as the country descends deeper into violence. Today, shocked relatives buried their dead, their loved ones caught up in an act of terror that Turkey says looks like the work of ISIS. US officials also say the evidence leans in that direction, including the terrorists' weapons and method of attack.
Saudi Arabia continues its deadly bombing raids in neighboring Yemen, and oil infrastructure in the southwestern city of Taiz has been pounded. At least 25 people, including 10 civilians, have lost their lives in the attack. 8 civilians also sustained injuries. Saudi warplanes also bombed Lahij province. Riyadh is pressing ahead with its bombardment of Yemen despite the UN-backed peace talks. The Arab kingdom began its air campaign against Yemen in March last year. More than 9,400 people have been killed so far, most of them civilians. The Saudi war has also given rise to an alarmingly dire humanitarian situation, putting millions of Yemenis in need of basic supplies such as food and water.
Water levels on several rivers in Chongqing were dangerously high, flooding houses and farmland. 2 rail routes in the region were impassable, affecting more than 50 passenger rail services. Floods disrupted traffic and damaged roads in Hunan province, forcing around 4,700 residents to leave. Due to the impact of the South China Sea monsoon, Guangdong province also experienced heavy rain. In Zhongshan City, the falls reached 100 millimeters, with more expected over the next 3 days.
A military base has been placed on lockdown in the U.S. state of Maryland following a report of an active shooter. The incident happened at the Joint Base Andrews. Officials said they were conducting an active shooter exercise, but they received reports of a real-world active shooter situation. The base is the military facility where the U.S. presidential aircraft and Air Force One is located. Last month, the base was put on lockdown after a woman walked onto it and claimed she had a bomb.
The Taliban claimed responsibility for the 2 blasts that hit buses transporting police cadets from nearby Wardak province. The first bomber attacked the 3 vehicles carrying the cadets, and the second one rammed his car into rescue service vehicles, causing more casualties. The Taliban's new leader has promised to continue attacks on the Western-backed government. At least 20 civilians have been killed when a roadside bomb exploded around 20 kilometers from the Somali capital, Mogadishu. Local police said the remote-control device blew up a passing minibus, killing all passengers on board. The explosion comes less than a week after an attack by the Al-Shabaab armed group in Mogadishu, in which at least 15 people died.